Welcome back to another Adventures in Business. This is your host, Amy Zander, with my co-host, Lisa. How are you doing, Lisa?
Doing great, Amy. How about yourself?
I am really good. I'm excited about our guest today. Before we jump into that, though, I did want to let our listeners know that we have advertising packages available for Adventures in Business. We are gaining lots and lots of listeners every week, hundreds of downloads a month. And so we are asking for a sponsor. So we have different packages if you want to sponsor one show, up to 12 shows. We put your links on every episode. We talk about you on every episode. And we recently had Katrina Hofstetter with Cornerstone Legal. She was our sponsor for 12 episodes. And I've also been working on her marketing for a while, just in general, not just with the podcast, but she has seen a really big increase in her website traffic and social media presence since then. So we know that our ad packages are working. So if you are interested in doing any of that as a listener, promoting your business on our show, just let us know. You can get a hold of Lisa or I, and we can give you the information. So that's my shameless plug for the day.
I love it. I love it. But, I think this opportunity for people to come and speak about their businesses, their nonprofits is so valuable for our community. And that's what we're looking to do, is to increase awareness and support people in our community. And I just think it's a great tool.
I do too. Yeah, it's our labor of love, we say, right? So,
Uh-huh.
speaking of supporting our community, talk to us about who we have on our show today.
We have the fabulous, none other than Beth Read with TWIGS, a nonprofit in our area, to work in grateful service. She's the founder, she's the executive director, and an all-around amazing human being. So, Beth, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing great. I mean, after that introduction, how could you not be? Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I wouldn't say it if it wasn't true. Thank you so much for joining us today. You're doing some amazing service in our community with your organization. Will you please share with our listeners what TWIGS is about?
Sure. TWIGS works in the Greater Lansing area right now, Ingham and Eaton counties, and we help cancer patients and their families with everyday tasks. So we do rides to appointments, yard care, housekeeping, and errand runs. So if they need a prescription picked up, or they don't have a way to get to the store and they just need something really quickly, we can go and do that for them. So we've been in official coming up on 2 years here. April 23rd is our birthday, so 2 years 501c3 official.
Fantastic. So share with us a little bit about your story. Tell us about you and how you came about creating this nonprofit.
Sure. My mom was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Gosh, it's almost been 8 years. And she passed about 5 years, it'll be 5 years ago in July. And my parents were lucky in the sense that when my mom was battling cancer, she didn't have to work, and my dad could take time off to take her to appointments. And she had a housekeeper, and my dad had someone to do the yard. So those times, the moments spent with my mom were not spent as caregivers as much as they were spent making memories. So I always get choked up saying that because it was so important to me. But during her battle, she said to me numerous times, what do people do when they have to work and they're going through these grueling treatments? And what do they do if they don't have the support system we have? And how do people deal with this? Because it's a burdensome and long, hard battle. So after she passed, I was looking for a way to do something more with my career and with my life, and something a little bit more meaningful to me. And so between that and my board member, Kate's mom, who also battled cancer, but worked the whole time she was battling up until about 6 months prior to her passing. She retired 6 months prior to her passing, but the rest of the time she worked. And so between those two experiences, Kate's and myself, I thought there's got to be something out there to help people. And there really wasn't, not to the extent that we're able to. And so I decided, well, why not? I'll just start a nonprofit, and this is what we'll do. And it took a lot of planning, some hiccups because of COVID, and here we are doing what I wanted to do. So that it's very healing for me to be able to give back to the cancer community, and it's something that excites me every day to wake up and be able to do.
Well, and you bring such a valuable point about, your friend Kate and yourself and cancer. I don't think there's anybody that's not been impacted or is going to be impacted by a friend, a family member, a loved one that has cancer. And you're right, not everybody has that type of a support system. And so share with us a little bit about what you do for some of the cancer patients.
So the way this kind of works, people are always curious, how do they get a hold of us and what does this look like? And a lot of times people get a hold of us through the oncology social workers at either Sparrow or McLaren. We have partnerships with both of them. And they'll reach out to me and say, I have a client. This is what we're looking for. Is it something you can do? And then they'll give us their contact information and I'll reach out to them and talk to them. So a lot of it's rides, for instance, most people don't mind giving themselves rides to treatment, but all of a sudden they have a procedure they have to have done and they're going under anesthesia and they don't have somebody to give them a ride home. Or they've stopped driving because chemo has messed with their eyesight and they need someone to give them rides, and paying for a ride like that is cost prohibitive to just about anybody. Or so what happens is they'll contact us, or some people will hear about us word of mouth, and we'll just talk with them and decide, what they need and how we can help. And we'll set up, sometimes we have community partners that can go into houses and clean. So actual cleaning companies that we have programming cost and we can get them, set up. We'll go up to once a week, 1 hour a week to clean, mowing, weeding once a week, and then rides as needed, as much as possible.
So how do you, so you've been, okay, let me start over. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
You said you're coming up on your 2-year anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
And as we know, it takes a little while for word to get out and making those partnerships and things like that. So I imagine at this point, you're pretty well known in the community. So are you like overwhelmed with requests? Are you handling them? How do you vet people?
Well, right now it's a conversation, definitely. I have learned over the course of the last 2 years, and we've been taking it slow so we wouldn't get overwhelmed. And I've been doing a lot of the volunteering because first of all, I wanted to, because I wanted to know what this looked like and how this would work.
Sure.
And so a lot of things you have to learn, you have to learn as you go. And so that's how we've decided on 1 hour a week, once a week for cleaning, because we can't go past that. It's too much. That's why we decided that we'd get programming costs for community partnerships, because we can't possibly continue to help large amounts of people in the community without having extra help and volunteers. While we would welcome them, are hard to find sometimes. People are busy, especially during the week. They're working, they have their families. And so we had to kind of pivot a little bit and find ways and solutions to sustain ourselves so we could grow and continue to help others. So it's a constant changing thing because we're so new. And things change as we go, and you have to be able to do that. As with any business, you have to be able to pivot and change with the times and figure things out and kind of move forward. And sometimes it's stumbling forward, but you do so in the best of your ability. Sure. And so that's kind of where we are. We do vet clients. We will have to, I think, eventually probably have a income, level that we can help with our programming costs. We haven't gotten there yet. Most people are pretty honest, and most of the people who are needing our services really are restricted incomes anyway. And it's pretty obvious once they go through the social workers at the hospital that, this is where we are. So I've yet to have too many people try to take advantage of that kind of thing. So very blessed in that regard, and just continuing to kind of tweak things as we go, as we learn and come up with new scenarios and see how this looks in the real world.
Yeah. So it sounds like you've really started to have a large list of community partners, like you said, the hospitals and the oncology units. What are some of your other community partners that you have?
We just started partnering with a young lady that owns a cleaning business, and so we're going to try it out with her and see how that works. I have yet to have her actually go out yet. I believe it's Sparkle Cleaning. Grand Vista Landscaping is a community partner of ours, and they go and do yard care. They've trimmed bushes for us for clients whose bushes were too tall, and the city would have come after them for it, and they didn't have the means or the ability to do that. They snowplow for us in the winter, which is amazing. So we are continuing to look for more community partners like that. I have a couple of friends who own their own cleaning businesses that I can ask to help with programming costs too. They don't have like a big business per se that I could like promote them, but small one-man shows that are willing to do that kind of stuff for us.
Right. Yeah. So I'm assuming as a nonprofit, you're doing fundraising a lot.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All the time, whenever possible.
Right. Tell us about that.
Well, last year we had our first big fundraising event, which we called the Gratitude Breakfast, and I felt like it was a big success, especially since I kind of put it together in 3 months. And so we're going to repeat that this year. First Saturday in November, we're going to have another breakfast. Anybody who wants to come out and join will be able to join. We'll have another silent auction, and as you guys know, because you were both there, fabulous.
I was there.
And it will be great. And then we are also partnering with the Mark Advocacy Group in doing a 5K this year. So that's September 10th, and we're really excited about that. It's going to be at the Hope Complex, and I'm going to probably get the order here wrong, but Rock, Roll, and Race, I believe we're calling it. Something very similar. Sorry, it's just in kind of the works of it. But one fun thing that's going to happen is the School of Rock is going to come out and play for us, and that will be kind of fun to have the kids play rock music. And Mark Advocacy Group does advocacy for patients, so we're very synergistic in what we're doing. And the executive director, that Marcy and I have just been working together to try to pool our resources so that we can both be very successful in what we do.
Yeah, that's excellent. We've had Marcy on the show. So yes, that's excellent. Good partner for sure. What about, I'm just throwing this out there, especially for our listeners. What about kids and teenagers and things like that are looking for community service hours and things like that they have to do for different programs that they're in, for maybe yard work or things like that? Is that something you've considered?
Absolutely. We have considered that. Have I gone into the
nitty gritty?
How that looks and what is that going to look like? No. However, having said that, we are partnering May 20th with the Holt Dojo, and they're going to put together a couple of teams with us, and we have 2 candidates we had that are cancer patients, and we're going to go do spring yard cleanup for them.
Excellent.
So that will give me a really good idea of what that might look like going forward for, say, high school students who need volunteer hours and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah,
right.
Exactly. That's wonderful. So speaking of volunteers, how do you find your volunteers?
Well, right now it's been word of mouth, and it's been a little bumpy, but we are kind of fluxing on, we were requiring COVID vaccines. We're debating now with the lesser of the disease that just a KN95 mask is required. That won't go away ever. Our clients are immunocompromised, and so we have to be very diligent about protecting their health. But they are required to have a full background screening, which we can either provide or they can donate the cost of. It's $35 because it's nationwide. We're going into folks' homes and we're driving them, so we want to make sure we're doing our due diligence. If it was your family member, you'd want us to do the same. So I say that to people, so they're like, "What do you mean? I don't need a background." I'm sure you don't, but just do it just to be safe.
Right, sure.
So that's what we require right now. And we're always looking for volunteers, and we don't. I want volunteers to want to do it, right? So if you don't want to do yard care and you just want to give rides, that's perfectly fine. Mm-hmm. We are working on setting up a new computer system, which should be a lot more user-friendly than the one we're using. So we'll hopefully have a better system for volunteers where they can just sign up per client. Right now I have to kind of call them and see if they're available because we're still working out the kinks. But anybody who wants to volunteer is more than welcome to contact me, and we'd be happy to get them on board. And even if it's once a month or once every 2 months, it's helpful.
And let our listeners know how they can contact you.
They can actually call me and put my phone number right out there. I'm a realtor anyway, so
go ahead, say it.
517-927-0153, or they can go on the website and submit a volunteer form.
Okay, and that website is twigsinc.org. And as always, we'll have the links to that in our show notes for this episode, so you can find it there. So I just want to reiterate for our listeners, in case you missed it, Beth did say that even if you can just volunteer like once a month or not a whole lot, where she's not asking you to sign your life away or have this volunteer thing become a full-time job. So if this is something that you think you might want to get involved in, don't let your busy schedule keep you from doing it. And of course, monetary donations are always accepted. So, yeah.
And
our website.
Yes, you can donate on the website. I know I've used that
Mhm.
button a couple of times. So, always giving back to the community is so rewarding, and hearing your story going back to your mom's illness and just the different things that you've learned. I know my mom also was sick for a very long time and an invalid, right? Was unable to take herself. And there's still this dignity in this, trying not to let them not have a lifestyle that they were accustomed to, in terms of a clean house, the rides, the yard work. It's just really fulfilling to give back.
And that's the feeling you get afterwards, and the clients are so appreciative. I can tell you, after being the main volunteer for 2 years, that I will still probably try to volunteer every once in a while, just
Mhm.
because you walk away feeling like a better person because you're helping somebody else selfishly, and
Yep.
it's a nice feeling to have.
Yeah, and I want to throw this out here too, because going back on something that Lisa said, so you had a fundraising event that was a painting party, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I loved the picture that you picked, and I wanted to be at that painting party, and I couldn't. I was out of town that weekend, and so I just went on your website and I donated what I would have spent at the painting party anyway, because I just wanted to support you. So I just want to let our listeners know that that's always an option. If you see a fundraising event going on that you can't personally attend, you can still donate.
And
Mhm.
I know that everybody says, but it doesn't. You don't have to have a large donation.
Right. Yeah.
The smallest, uh, $20 can get an hour worth of cleaning for somebody. $20 can clear a driveway.
Right.
So don't think that, oh, I can only donate this. And I know that's cliche, but I don't want people to get hung up on that. You'd be surprised if 100 people donate just $5. It adds up.
Right. Absolutely. Everything counts. So we like to connect people on this show with listeners or other businesses. So let's talk a little bit about some businesses that you'd like to connect with that may be able to offer their services for your clients. And then we can talk a little bit more about connecting you with just volunteers in general.
Oh, businesses in particular, any
Yeah.
cleaning or yard care.
Cleaning and yard care. Okay.
Anybody who in our, so that everybody knows our vision, our goal is, because we're in Ingham and Eaton counties, that we'll have, it's quite a large expansion.
Sure.
So we have a yard care company in Grand Ledge we can go to, or even two, and a couple in Williamston area, and even two. So that way we're not asking people to travel all the way across
Right.
Lansing.
Right.
And if one can't do it, we can, have another one do it. And a lot of times it can be a consistent thing, or it can be, I just need my yard done this time.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it varies, and if they want to reach out to me again, either via website or phone call, I'd be happy to meet with them and talk further about what that looks like.
Sure. So just so we have a clear understanding, these businesses that you're looking for, the cleaning companies and the yard care companies, are they donating their time, or are some of them able to be paid through your foundation?
They're able to be paid through programming costs. We have
Gotcha.
grant specified funds for
Okay.
that. We really appreciate when they give us a discount.
Sure.
Really appreciate if they'll throw in a cleaning or a yard
Right.
care for free. And that's great. But yes, the programming costs are able to pay them to come and do this. Not only
Okay.
are they giving back, but they're not losing money, or
Okay.
just donating it all.
Right.
So,
And then you're marketing them and promoting
yeah.
them as people that, yeah. Okay. So that's win-win.
Yeah. It's a great partnership to have.
Yeah.
Everybody should want to join in.
Absolutely. Yes.
When you and I have had a personal conversation, you shared with me the story behind the name TWIGS. Yes, it's an acronym, but can you share with our listeners the story behind TWIGS?
Absolutely. So my mother has an older brother by 1 year. They're born on the same day, on their dad's birthday, no less, July 13th. And so they were in high school together. And when they were in high school, the model Twiggy was really popular. And my uncle, being an older brother, said, "Oh, Twiggy? We have Piggy," which is not very kind. However, it became a term of endearment, and he called her Twigs right up until the end, every time he saw her. And so it was my way of paying homage to my mom without naming it directly after her, which she would have not enjoyed at all. And I figured I had to come up with an acronym, so it made it make sense. And so that's how I came up with To Work in Grateful Service, because that's what we're doing.
To work in grateful service. What an amazing acronym. That's great.
If we all have those brothers or family members that come up with those lovely nicknames. I'm the youngest of three, so yeah, mine wasn't very fun either. But I just thought that was a really great story, and like you said, just the memory of your mom and the legacy and doing this in honor of her is so cool. I think that's a very gracious thing for you to do.
Thank you.
What has been, you talked about getting started in COVID was a little bit challenging. What other types of hurdles are you running into?
I mean, gaining volunteers, me learning the ins and outs of asking. Well, that's a personal thing, but I'm really bad at asking for help, and it's my baby, and so it's hard to let go of control. Learning that there's a lot more to fundraising than just saying, hey, will you give me money?
Right.
People really want to be involved in how you're spending that money.
Mhm.
There's a stigma out there that nonprofits shouldn't have paid employees and stuff like that. And that's a hard thing to overcome sometimes because you're like, well, how do we succeed?
Right.
All volunteers here, and people don't work for free. And so those are the kind of things that, you just kind of gotta eat those hiccups. You just kind of, you're hit with them and you're like, okay, well, what do I do? You got to move forward. You want it to happen. And so you find ways around it. And I talk pretty openly about stuff, and I'm willing to help others and learn from others. And so that's what I try to do every time I find a roadblock.
Right.
Somebody hasn't been here before. So
yeah. I mean, there's so many things that you can learn from other nonprofits, and it's also has a lot to do with who's on your board too, surrounding yourself with all the people and the expertise that you don't have.
I have amazing board members.
You do.
Katrina is one of them.
Yes, Katrina is. Yes, good to have a lawyer on your board.
I think there's so many people that believe in what you're doing, and I think that makes a big difference too, is they believe they can relate, they can tie it back to an experience they may have had or witnessed. So finding support is tremendously important. So when you think about what you're excited about, what are you excited about for 2023 for TWIGS?
I'm really excited to be able, it sounds silly, but those community partnerships, making those and establishing them and having the funds finally. We were very successful in my mind in fundraising last year, and actually having the funds to say, hey, we can reach out and help a lot more people is extremely exciting to me. I didn't think it was possible to get this far so fast. I'm really proud of us. I'm really proud of all we've accomplished. Sometimes you get caught up in the day-to-day of things and you forgot to look back and see how far you've come. And I mean, in 2 years, we are at almost over 20 families helped. We have partnerships with local hospitals. I'm getting letters of support for grants from local hospitals. I'm, finding more and more community members that are willing to donate to us, just without even me asking, which is amazing. That is exciting. That is exciting. That is a huge win for me. That's hugely successful. And just being able to continue on that path and keep growing and making those important connections so that we can help these folks. Every time I meet a new patient is hard, and it's a very humbling thing to remind yourself that, every time you think your life is bad, there's a lot of people dealing with a lot worse. So, so I'm excited to be able to continue to help those folks. And that's how we do it, right? Is by the growth we've experienced and we will experience this year.
Yeah. So do you have any requests that you're unable to fulfill?
Yeah, there are. And I mean, there's always going to be that. Our goal, and I'm glad you mentioned that, our goal is to, if we don't have the ability to help them, to try to find people who can. So I have tried to build connections with, different home care services, with the Cancer Society. I have a connection there. In fact, I just reached out to her. Somebody reached out to me from Detroit. She had heard of us, and we can't help her. She's in Detroit. So I'm working on getting her some resources there. We don't do funding for treatments or, that kind of stuff, but I have some community connections with other nonprofits that do. So the idea is that we will eventually be able to resource out, help them find what they need to find if we can't help them ourselves.
Yeah, that's a good consideration. I'm sure you want to just help everybody that
It
calls
is,
you.
it's really hard to tell somebody no, especially when
Yeah.
they dealt with such a hard, hand to deal with anyway. And but
Right. But it doesn't sound like you're really telling them no, because you're doing your best to offer
right,
other
yeah,
services or get them connected with the people in their area. So you're helping more than you think you're helping.
Relationships are so key, and
Yeah.
being a collaborative relationship is also very critical because, in the fundraising space, there's so many people that are applying for the same grants. They're, knocking on the same doors for donations. And, you know, but when we can build those relationships, it's extremely important. And some of them are not nonprofits that you're getting to utilize. And that's okay too. That's okay too. So where do you find the most successful relationships that you're building in your world?
I mean, I'm going to say this, and men might roll their. I have an amazing group of powerful women that I am a part of, and I tell you, when you make those connections as a female business owner, regardless of your business will grow. And it's like they say, find your tribe. I have the largest tribe right now, and they were the reason my first fundraiser was a success, and they are the reason that I keep meeting new people. I'm a really big advocate, not that I don't welcome all the support from men we've gotten as well. But as a middle-aged woman who grew up in a society where a lot of times women weren't helping each other, back in the day where it was a lot more competitive and it was kind of harder. It is very empowering and wonderful to have just these connections of women that just lift each other up. And even in the nonprofit community, a lot of executive directors are women, and we are meeting together and we are brainstorming together and we're figuring out how to overcome these obstacles specific to nonprofit world together. And the support and love and even on a personal level when things go bad is just amazing. And so I encourage you to reach out if you're a female business owner and find other female business owners that you can lean on, because you need it, and it's great and it's empowering, and I can't say enough good things about
I agree. I got chills when you said that. And I've had this conversation actually several different times recently with different women in different areas in the Lansing area. And I haven't owned a business in any other area than Lansing. So I don't know what it's like in other towns, but I feel like here there's just so much support, and there's lots of different organizations. There's the Women's Forum, which is actually, they meet once a month, and then there's NACW and Athena, and just so many things for women. And I agree with you. I mean, yeah, of course we want the support from everybody, but it's nice to have your tribe.
It is. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And we welcome all people. So
of course.
If you're hearing this, you want to know about one of those groups, you know how to reach out to any of us, and we'll be happy to add you to our next get together.
Yeah, absolutely. So is there anything that we haven't asked you that you'd like to say before we wrap up?
I guess the one thing I just want to reiterate, because, as Lisa was kind of touching on before, it's about your story and why you're doing what you're doing. So if anybody wants to know why we're doing what we're doing, is because as a daughter and a caregiver of someone with cancer, again, and I kind of touched on this, my mom was terminal from the get-go. She had pancreatic cancer. She would not have survived. And so I knew, and I'm going to get really emotional, but I knew every moment with her was precious. And so instead of worrying about cleaning her house or, getting her groceries, I could watch her be a grandmother. And those are the best moments, that I have, those memories. And so when you want to support us, know that that's what you're supporting. These folks, don't want to worry about their parents or loved one, getting their basic needs covered. They want to be able to spend time with them, So that's why we do what we do. Sorry to get all
you do not apologize that you have one of the best why stories we've ever
Mhm.
heard. So
So
it's absolutely, yeah, amazing.
that is
And
our mission. My mission
yeah,
is to give those moments back to people and
yeah,
let them spend time with their loved ones and spend time, healing.
right.
So
Yeah,
Thank you so much. Look, I can't.
I know.
Um,
Yeah,
you hit a lot of spots for me there, and what you're doing is amazing. And thank you so much for sharing and for sharing from your heart. Um, because if we can give others opportunities to create memories and be with their loved ones and without letting the other stuff just fall by the wayside, please reach out to TWIGS, volunteer, donate, utilize their services. But I hope people have those memories.
yeah,
yeah,
thank you so
absolutely.
much for having me.
Yes, this has been wonderful. Thank you. And to our community and our listeners out there, again, you can get more information at twigsinc.org. And those links will be on our show notes. Thank you so much, Beth, for being here
Thank
today.
you.
I'm sure I'll see you out and about very soon. I run into you all the time, and it'll be great to see your smiling face. And so thank you so much to our listeners for coming on another adventure with us. We release new episodes every Wednesday. You can find them at zdmedia.com or on Lisa's website. And we hope you have a great day. And as always, go out and make it an adventure.